Spaghetti diagrams and communication circles are great tools to use to study motion or transportation in a process. Just like it sounds, motion or transportation is the movement of something in a process, like a person, an airplane, an email. You get the picture. The main difference between a spaghetti diagram and a communication circle is spaghetti diagrams typically track the movement of people or things, and communication circles track, you guessed it, communication, such as phone calls and emails, which can be especially helpful when looking at how many times customers have to contact us during a process, or how often they contact the wrong person and get transferred around. Spaghetti diagrams and communication circles are used during the analyze phase of DMAIC because they help us get down to the root cause of an issue and eliminate any waste we find. Today we'll practice building a communication circle for boarding an airplane, and then see an example of a spaghetti diagram for parks crews heading out to the field. Creating a spaghetti diagram or communication circle is fairly straightforward. The most important first step is to make sure you include everyone who's involved in the process you are studying so you don't miss any important steps. Next, decide how you want to document the diagram or circle. This can be done on a Google map, using Microsoft Office, with pictures, graphics, even just hand-drawn on a piece of paper. The important thing is to make sure you can see each step in the process and illustrate the movement between them. Once you have picked your documentation style, you'll need to label your diagram or circle with the title of the process you are working on and the date you are making the tool. This makes it very easy to identify at a glance and will help you remember the date you did it so you can celebrate your improvements later. Now, as a team, start listing out the steps of the process. If you aren't sure what all the steps are, it may be helpful to go watch the process as it happens. Include how long it takes information, people, or things to go through each step. Using the list of steps you've created, your next task is to plot them out on your diagram or circle. Be sure to include a stop for each of the locations that information, people, or things have to go to during the process. Remember, sometimes the stops are physical locations and sometimes they are electronic, so be sure to include everything. Once you have the stops listed, start illustrating the movement that the information, people, or things take through them. Be sure to include the times when the process gets started over, when steps are repeated, or when waiting happens. This is usually where the waste can be found. Now that your diagram or circle is finished, it's time to look for the waste. As the team is discussing all the steps and stops of the process, consider which ones are really necessary. Remember, business necessary either means that step is required by law, or if you didn't do it, the whole process would fall apart. So be very careful with which steps get that label. It can be easy to overdo it. Non-value-added steps are waste and should be eliminated. Value-added steps are the ones that aren't necessary to the process, but are so valuable to the customer they should be kept in the process if at all possible. As you consider all these things and more, you'll be able to get down to the root causes and eliminate the waste from the process. Once you've eliminated the waste, you can make a future state diagram or circle with the new process, including how many steps you removed and how quickly it can be completed. You'll be amazed at the difference. Now that you've practiced making a communication circle, let's look at an example of a spaghetti diagram. Remember, your main goal with either a communication circle or spaghetti diagram is to make the invisible movement within a process visible, so you can see and eliminate the waste. This spaghetti diagram does a great job of showing the many stops and starts that occurred in the original process and how much smoother things flowed once improvements were made and the waste was eliminated. So whether you're following how travelers board an airplane, how crews exit the yard, or how customer communication happens, spaghetti diagrams and communication circles can really help to make the invisible movement within a process visible and help you eliminate the waste.